it's time to get into night 2 of WrestleMania 42. We have kicking it off on ESPN nonetheless, the flagship channel, not ESPN2 like night 1, the actual ESPN. One of the matches that I believe is my second most hyped match that I'm looking forward to on this card between Brock Lesnar and Obafemi.
I'll start here. I mean, this is one that I've had circled on my calendar per se for a long time. I think this is gonna be just two dudes just ready to fight. It's gonna be a lot of suplexes. Suplex City definitely in full force. I'm gonna tell you this though. I'm gonna tell you who should win, and I'm gonna tell you who's gonna win because we know who he is. His name's Brock Lesnar, and he's walking out of this thing with a victory. But it should
No,
be Oba, but it won't be.
no. Here's what's gonna happen, and then Mike, I'll let you go because this is how I envision this. I think this is gonna be a very quick match. I think it's gonna be less than a 5 minute match. I really do. I think Brock's gonna come out of the gate. He may hit a suplex, he may not. I think it's gonna be an F5. Oba's gonna kick out at 1. Brock is gonna be shocked. He's gonna go for another F5. Oba's gonna throw him off the ropes, fall from grace. 1, 2, 3.
I like your call, Brandon. I was back and forth on this. What do you do? What do you do in this situation? Do you keep Lesnar and Oba going months into the summer? I mean, it could happen. It could happen where maybe Oba comes out, hits his finish, Lesnar gets an F5 and sneaks past him. Man, I don't know, though. When I think about this match and it being on ESPN, I went out to dinner with a friend the other night, a couple of friends the other night, actually. And this friend, she doesn't watch wrestling that often, but when she sees something, she makes sure to mention it to me. And we were talking, and she's like, "Did you see that guy that laid out Brock Lesnar?" And I said, "Yeah." He's like, "What's his name?" And I said who it was. And we talked about that for that slight moment. This is a match that's on ESPN. I don't think it's going to open it on ESPN. I think we're going to have the ladder match as the opener, and I think people are going to stick around and see what happens in this match. I think you have to go Obafemi here, particularly for this reason. Because if we're building to, Gunther perhaps beating Lesnar in his final match, and Lesnar has already said that this is a jump in, jump out, I'm in for a second, and then I'm out. Where does the benefit lie with a Lesnar win here? I don't see one. I think that this is an opportunity to build the greatest new star in the wrestling business right now. In a 3-minute match, you have him beat Brock Lesnar in some sort of quick finish, because we're all setting up for Obafemi to be in the main event of night 2 of WrestleMania next year. He's an incredible talent. I think that a match with him and maybe a Roman Reigns, or maybe him with CM Punk, or even maybe him with Seth Rollins, that could be just money. I think that we're in this scenario where we really have to capitalize on all the momentum. And if you don't do that, you've kind of got Obafemi stuck in middle ground territory. And I
So,
think
Mike, I got 2 quick things here. One is, I don't think Brock Lesnar's winning a match for the rest of his career. I think Brock's got 2 matches left. I think it's this one, and I think it's Gunther at SummerSlam. And so I don't think there's going to be any other follow-up to this. The other thing I'll point is this. I think this match is actually going to kick off WrestleMania Sunday, because I think you have the marquee of Brock and Oba and these 2 guys, and Brock Lesnar's the name that everybody knows from ESPN. And I think the only way you can follow up the anticipation and the crowd chanting Oba and all this massive energy is just to have 6 guys in a ladder match go out there and try to get the championship, if you will.
I like that, Brandon. But most importantly, we're both going to go Oba here for this specific reason. My friend asked me about Obafemi. That's because she was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to see who's going to beat Brock Lesnar. Who's going to beat Brock Lesnar? This is a perfect opportunity to get the whole world to watch this young man. He's incredible. I can't believe he's younger than me. He's only 27, but he's like 3 or 4 times the size of me. He's unbelievable, and he's Obafemi. I'm going to take him to win this one.
All
You
right,
know
guys. Go ahead, Jalen,
hold
real
on,
quick.
one more thing. Just about your friend, you said she doesn't pay attention to wrestling at all as much. She's not really a wrestling fan.
Not really.
That to me, speaks volumes to who Obafemi is and who he's going to be in this business. Because somebody like that who barely tunes into the product, coming up to you or me per se, and being like, "Oh my goodness, look at who laid out Brock Lesnar!" Like, that is the star he is, and this is going to catapult him into the stratosphere, in my opinion.
All right, let's get to the ladder match, guys, where Penta Zero Miedo defends the Intercontinental Championship against some very young talent and some veteran talent in Javon Evans, the veteran Rey Mysterio, JD McDonough from the Judgment Day, Rusev, and Dragon Lee in your typical mid-card WrestleMania six-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship.
I'll go ahead and start on this one. Lots of young talent in there. The wrestling fan in me, and just looking at these 6 guys, JD McDonough is the guy that I would personally like to see win the championship, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be either Penta or Javon Evans. Particularly, I'm going to go with Penta to retain. I know a lot of times we don't necessarily pick the winning champion, the reigning champion who goes into a ladder match to win a ladder match like this, but I'm going to go with Penta for a number of reasons. I think this is going to be very exciting to the casual viewer. I think that people are going to definitely tune in to see Rey Mysterio in a ladder match at WrestleMania at his age and his longevity purposes. I don't think he wins the championship in this one. I think this is an opportunity to put over younger talent. And I think that when you look at everyone across the board, I think Rusev and Dragon Lee are kind of just filler wrestlers in this match. I think there hasn't been a lot of character development as far as JD McDonough on the main roster yet for your casual fan to buy into him. And then you kind of narrow it down to between Javon Evans and Penta. I think that you need to build up Javon Evans as an underdog, kind of like Rey Mysterio was 20 years ago, before he could really pick up steam and before he could really be taken seriously. And lastly, you have Penta, who really, he's a wonderful seller as far as merchandise, t-shirts, masks, everything like that. I think that your casual fan is going to look at that and think, wow, this is awesome. This guy is colorful. This guy is spectacular. He's dancing around. He has a great entrance. And I think Penta comes in here and retains in a hard-fought ladder match.
Go ahead, Joe.
This is a match for me that if I was going to tell someone to tune into a match for WrestleMania, this would be it. This is going to be a lot of action, a lot of nasty bumps, a lot of flips, a lot of high flying, a lot of jaw-dropping moments per se. I do agree with Mike. I wish JD would take it here. I think he is the best option on the board, but will they do that? Probably not. I think Penta walks away with it. I am excited to see how Rey holds up. He ages like fine wine, so I'm sure he'll be absolutely phenomenal. And this is going to be not a classic, but a mid-card classic, in my opinion.
Yeah, this match, and I know Money in the Bank is its own thing now, and they have a men's and a women's, it's its own PLE. This match sort of makes me wish they brought back Money in the Bank for WrestleMania, like it was back in the day, just because I always feel like this is a perfect spot to get guys that maybe don't have, the right WrestleMania direction on the card. Originally I was going to go with Javon Evans, but Mike and Jalen, you guys have convinced me. And I don't think typically we don't really see a championship change hands from babyface to babyface. And I think night 2 is going to be about making stars. In this next match, we're going to talk about a star that I think they're going to be making in Trick Williams. We already talked about Obafemi. Javon Evans is in that camp, but Penta's a guy who, yes, he did come from AEW. He had success in AEW, but maybe to your guys' point, the casual audience doesn't know as much about him. Maybe they see him as like a bigger version of Rey Mysterio, and they try to get his stardom even more over. So I think I agree. I have Penta retaining the title. All right. Let's get to the United States Championship. We're technically on paper. Sami Zayn is the babyface. Trick Williams is the heel. I don't have it on the graphic, but it does sound like that little Yachty is going to come out with Trick here. But I think by the end of this match, not only are we going to get a championship change, but on paper, we're going to get a babyface and heel turn change. I think they've been setting this up. I think this is clearly the perfect double turn scenario. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but I see Trick walking out with the title. I see Trick walking out as a babyface, and I see Sami walking out as the heel.
I think actually they've already done it, Brandon. I was at the Friday Night SmackDown in Pittsburgh on March 27th, and it was very interesting when they did the title change between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes. They had Trick interfere to try to get Sami Zayn off kilter, and he decks Carmelo by accident. I think it's really interesting. I think we see a Trick Williams victory here, clean after some kind of shenanigans from Lil Yachty. I'm really, really entertained by this, especially Lil Yachty walking out with the gingerbread man shirt.
Yes.
I loved it. I think that's one of the more creative things on WWE TV right now, and everyone reacts to Trick Williams' entrance. I'm just getting my girlfriend Kelly to get into wrestling, and I threw SmackDown on about a month ago, and when she heard his theme song, she is still very much learning about wrestling. I love her so much, but we turned Trick Williams on, and she's just all about the Trick Williams theme song. She loves it. I think this is lightning in a bottle. I think you go with it, and I think Trick Williams is your new United States champion. This has a lot of John Cena Big Show vibes from WrestleMania 20 because we used that United States championship as a catapult for John Cena, and now I think we could use it for Trick Williams over 20 years later. It's unbelievable.
I agree. I mean, Yachty for me, music wise, has always been. I've always listened to Yachty stuff when he was coming up for sure. So this is kind of cool to see. I know you guys probably don't follow Yachty on social media, but he's just a big kid and loves professional wrestling. And I feel like Trick is the same. He's just a big kid who just likes to wrestle, and he's a lot of fun, and his entrance is easy to get into, as you said about your significant other there. I'm glad she loves the entrance because we all in my house do too. We love it. We're always singing it. We're clapping along. This man is over, and it's time to put the rocket to his back per se and blast off.
Last thing to note here, I don't think Carmelo Hayes interferes in this match. I think it's your one-on-one bout, and I do think maybe at like Backlash in Tampa, we get the triple threat. Trick is the champion, Carmelo challenger, Sami challenger.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. And another thing about Trick Williams that I don't think anybody has mentioned, he looks and feels like Ric Flair. Like if I had to compare Trick Williams to a wrestler, he is Ric Flair. Like Ric Flair in 2026, not necessarily Ric Flair in 1986 as a heel, but like in 2020 with 2026 lenses on, I see Trick Williams as Ric Flair, but a 2026 version. So awesome talking about what he's wearing. And you know what? When guys are confident, they talk about what they're wearing. They talk about their sense of style. They talk about all of that stuff. And I think they're right on the money with Trick Williams. Get him this win and really create a star in this match. I think this is the match I'm most excited about of the whole weekend. The entire weekend, the one I'm most excited about is this match right now.
And that says a lot with some of the star power that's on this card. And for the first time since WrestleMania 39, we get the return of the Demon. And this, I believe, is the first time since the Extreme Rules match with Roman Reigns that the Demon is a babyface, which feels like forever ago. It was almost 5 years ago now, as he takes on Dirty Dominic Mysterio and a feud that I don't know if Dom has been heard and off television, but since they did the angle where, the Judgment Day took out Finn, there has not really been a lot of interaction with these guys in the ring. It's been mostly backstage promos.
Yeah, I mean, I have noticed that too, and that's what kind of killed this feud for me. I wish it was more in ring stuff, but if more comes out, we find out if Dom's been hurt or not, or whatever's going on. I hope that's not the case. I hope he's not hurt. I hope they just really fumbled this feud. But I think, in my opinion, you have to go the Demon here, especially if you want to give him a second life per se. You know this, Brandon. Brandon knows I've been a Finn guy for a long time since Balor Club and NXT, and Brandon would make fun of me. You watch NXT? You watch that? What do you mean watch that? Yeah, Brandon, I watched it. All right, listen, and I hope they make the right choice here. I think either way, whoever you pick to win is a good choice, but I hope the right choice is made and Finn Balor walks away with the win here.
I'm going Balor in this one too, Jalen. Just I feel like we need to have the Demon show up in more appearances than he does. I think they've saved it only for a WrestleMania thing. If you really want to pick up steam on Finn Balor and you really want to make him a legitimate threat, have him win this match and then have him enter the world title picture as the Demon in the championship matches. You have to lean into story with him. Everybody's like, well, Finn Balor should be pushed to the moon. Finn Balor is the best. Finn Balor is the best in ring performer. He very well could be, but I don't think that your casual fan is gonna put their arms around him unless we see more of the Demon face paint and more of that kind of supernatural feel, because that's something that is missing in the business today. And I feel like, especially if you wanted to make a little pivot and you wanted to switch him over to SmackDown to feud with Randy Orton, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And I think this would be a perfect springboard for it. You have Dom do something else, and you have this be quick and painless.
Yeah, I agree. No other notes to add there. Let's get to the women's championship match between Jade Cargill, who is now being flanked by B-Fab and V-Chan, against Rhea Ripley. I think, Mike, you mentioned that Sammy and Trick was your match that you're looking forward to the most on the card. This is the match I'm looking forward to the least out of every match of both nights of the weekend. I think the build of this, quite frankly, in my opinion, has been trash. I think it's been more trash than the Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Pat McAfee stuff. Nothing for this to me has hit. Rhea and Jade, their promos have not hit. It's been a lot of, I'm better than you and I'm tougher than you, and that's pretty much it. And it's one of the reasons why they tried to put B-Fab and V-Chin with Jade to get some heat on Rhea. It's not working for me. The Io Sky involvement is not working for me. Jade's title reign has not worked for me at all. Like I just want Rhea to win the title quickly and get this thing over with and let Rhea take over that SmackDown division again. That's where I'm at with this.
I agree with you, Brandon. I'm going to go Rhea here to win the championship. I just think that Jade Cargill is fine on her own as an athletic threat. I think if you just paired these two together, one thing that's interesting, a couple years ago we had Rhea versus Becky. A lot of people viewed that as a dream match. I think people view this one as a dream match too. Jade Cargill was a main player in AEW, and she really built herself up so that they built up all this hype around her, correct? For when she would switch over to WWE, and it just has not hit for me. And I feel like it's not the right time for Rhea to lose this match. I'm going to go with the best women's wrestler I've ever seen, and that's Rhea Ripley.
I think I'm gonna go Rhea too. I'm gonna be so honest. I have not paid attention to this feud not one bit. I think WWE has really fumbled the bag with Jade. Yeah, not much to say here, guys. I'm taking Rhea.
All right, let's get to the match that I think is the hardest to call maybe in the whole show. You have CM Punk, the Heavyweight Champion, defending against the Tribal Chief, the OTC, the one, the only Roman Reigns. These guys have gone back and forth, trading barbs about each other's family. You have the Usos being involved. You have the segment a couple weeks ago where Roman Reigns called CM Punk old, and that set CM Punk off. You've had multiple brawls. You've had the Usos and Jay telling Roman to smash them all. I mean, there's so many layers to this story. And what I find so fascinating about it is Last year, these two were in the main event of night one of WrestleMania 41 when it was CM Punk against Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins. This year, it's CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Championship, but it feels like a completely different feud than what we had last year because this isn't about Paul Heyman. This isn't about Seth Rollins. This is about two guys who clearly think they're the best, that don't like each other, that have history even dating back to when Roman Reigns debuted along with Seth Rollins and now Jon Moxley, formerly known as Dean Ambrose in The Shield at Survivor Series 2012.
Yeah. I'll start here because everyone knows how I feel about Punk. Brandon, you know this is my favorite wrestler of all time. And that promo on Monday Night Raw, oh boy, did we start off Monday hot. That, to me, is what really got me fully invested in this feud. And there might be a little bit of bias behind it. But you're right. This feels like a completely different thing. This to me feels like this means something because in 2013 or in 2014 when Punk was halfway out the door and he was going on Cabana's show and trashing Roman Reigns and trashing how he didn't want the pretty guy. He wanted Chris Hero. He didn't want that was Vince's guy. He always said that was their guy. That was Paul's guy. That was Vince. That's what this feels like. This feels like almost 11, 12 years of build up behind this one. And I'm excited. And I really, really hope that no shenanigans happen, no dirty endings. I want a clean one. I want an absolute barn burner, and I want Punk to walk away here.
So you want Punk to walk away a winner. Is that right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Interesting. So I mean, we could dream for all those things. I mean, like, here's the way I see it is if we don't have a clean finish and we have some sort of fun interference, some sort of, Pat McAfee, some people say Vince McMahon's going to get involved. I don't know if that's going to happen. I think we're just going to get a clean match between two guys trying to see who's the better man. I mean, it's happened over the course of WrestleMania history. Hogan Warrior, Cena Michaels. That's another good one. Just babyface match. Nothing wrong with that. It could happen. It could be done well, especially with these two guys. And I think especially for the future and for building up the credibility of this belt, a lot of people can agree the tribal chief with the championship has been the most successful championship run over the past 2 decades. And I think that when you're in a situation where you struggled with ticket sales, there were all of these sort of things that fans have continued to complain about, say that WWE's been struggling with. Why not go back to the drawing board and make your top guy the world champion, even if it is in more of a part-time role? I'm sure he could be back on TV more this year if he's going to be the world champion. I'm going to go with the tribal chief here. I think he's going to get it done clean, and I think this is going to be one of people's favorite matches on the show. We haven't done a babyface match in quite a long time in the main event of WrestleMania. I think it could happen, and I think it could be done well. I'm going with Roman.
So you guys don't think – I don't think this is going to happen either. But is there any shot the Usos interfere in this match?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
for sure. Yeah, I believe so as well.
So here's my thinking. If WWE is running with this idea, like I said in night one, if you guys listened to the podcast yesterday, of this Team WWE versus Team TKO storyline, and Pat McAfee keeps mentioning CM Punk in his promos, and obviously, Jalen, you just mentioned the Punk promo on Monday. What you could do is you could have Punk retain the title here. And, maybe that's how you get Punk involved in this storyline. Then maybe you get the world champions on both brands, Punk and either Cody or Orton going after the TKO storyline. I struggle, though, with if the tribal chief, the OTC, does not win the World Heavyweight Championship, where else is there for him to go? because ever since losing the world championship, first it was the redemption storyline that he had to come back and redeem himself and be the nice guy and show the Usos that he's not this ruthless tyrant. And he had to get past Paul Heyman and he had to get past Solo Sikoa. And in order to do so, now the wise man turned on him. And so now he's all alone. Like, I guess he still has to, in a way, get revenge on Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker and the Vision, but Seth Rollins is all tied up in that feud. And Roman's character now is sort of all based off he's still the guy. He lost his way a little bit after WrestleMania 40. And I still think somewhere down the line, we're going to get that Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes third match. I thought personally going into when Reigns won the Rumble, it could happen this year. And obviously they went in a different direction. And I think there is a world out there where Roman wins the championship and maybe he still is part-time. But we really haven't seen the tribal chief in this form be a babyface world champion. And that is something different. And I do think there are more superstars for Roman to face on the roster right now than Punk, who always had a good title reign, unless, again, Punk maybe potentially turns heel down the line. There's not a lot else Punk can really do with the title right now.
That is a perfect take, Brandon. That was one of my favorite takes I've ever heard you make, especially because that was kind of right out in the middle was Roman has not been a successful babyface champion yet. And I think that's what takes him away in some people's eyes from top 10 all time. I think he's done it all. Incredible talent. I think that he kind of hurts his legacy with the big dog persona from years prior. But we got to start building up Roman Reigns as an unstoppable force because in 10 years, we need him to be the legend who's out here working with the younger talent. And in order to do that, we got to make that happen.
And again, my thing is if Roman doesn't win the title, where else do you go? There's nowhere else for him to go.
I mean, he could feud with the Usos if they decide to turn on him, but that doesn't really make sense because I feel like we just saw Jey Uso and Roman. We just saw it.
The only way I can see a storyline like that going is, let's say Roman loses and they do this storyline where like he's lost everything and he's no longer the tribal chief, and maybe he anoints Jey Uso as the tribal chief, and maybe he's on television, but like maybe he's not wrestling as much. Maybe he becomes like the Usos manager, like, and helps them get that. Like, see, that's what I'm trying to say. It's not a good storyline, but that's like the only direction I can see you going. I already see Mike shaking his head, but like that's the only direction that I could see going. Roman going if he loses.
I please no, don't do that. I mean, if that's the best you can come up with, I can only imagine what Triple H is going to come up with. So,
I mean, here's the thing. Here's where I'm at. I think SummerSlam you could do, because I think night 2, the main event is going to be Brock and Gunther. So the question is, what's your night 1 main event? And I think with Roman as champion, you have a couple of scenarios. You could do Roman and Braun Breaker, or you could do Roman and Seth Rollins. Because I think that was always the plan going into this year until Seth got hurt, was they were going to run Roman and Seth back, whether it was going to be for the Undisputed title or for the World Championship. And Seth, clearly, even though he's moved on from Paul Heyman and his babyface now, he has still not gotten over Roman Reigns. And they still have not had, to my knowledge, a one-on-one, either SummerSlam now, which is 2 nights, which is almost the equivalent, not as, but almost, I would say, of WrestleMania. And WrestleMania, they have never had that. The last time I can remember them facing one-on-one for a title was Money in the Bank 2016 when Dean Ambrose cashed in the Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was 10 years ago.
And I just think, like, if you're, again, the problem is, though, with Punk, what do you do with Punk after WrestleMania? Is he off TV for a little while? Does he get involved over on SmackDown with Cody and Randy and Pat and that storyline? You know, we're in a situation with both guys where it's like neither of them really can afford to lose, but I think Punk can a little bit more than Roman.
I agree.
I agree as well. I think either whoever loses, we're not going to see him for a couple months, regardless of who it is. I think this is a big, like, if Punk loses, he's probably not coming back till SummerSlam and vice versa. If you want my honest take on that.
Is there a scenario where Roman wins and Punk turns heel and you run Roman and Punk back at SummerSlam, but with Punk as a full-on heel?
I think that could work. I think it could definitely work, especially because if you're really listening to the audience right now, a lot of people are behind the babyface tribal chief character, and I think that if you're, say for example, if we're going all the way to WrestleMania and we're booking backwards and it ends up being in Saudi Arabia, we know what match is on the table that's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. It's going to be Roman Reigns. It's going to be The Rock. So in order for that to happen, you got to keep Roman Reigns as a white-hot baby face. And in order to do so, you got to have one of the most versatile performers of the era, CM Punk. I mean, I get it. Everyone loves CM Punk, and everybody loves what he represents. But some of the best promos of all time, not just of our era, but of all time, have been CM Punk heel promos. Whether it was Straight Edge Society, whether it was his feud with The Rock, so many great one-off promos for TV, and I wouldn't be opposed to that. I wouldn't be opposed to a Roman CM Punk rematch because I think this is going to be an awesome match. I think Roman's going to win, but I think that there's going to be more of when that came from, and I think Roman's your new world champion, though.
Yeah, I think both of these guys are going to get a special entrance at maybe 45 minutes to an hour between entrances and bell ringing and post-match celebration. It's going to be absolute cinema. Before we wrap up, I'll ask you guys sort of big picture stuff here as we look at both nights. I know me and Mike both feel like night 2 is a better night. Jalen, you sort of feel like night 1 is a better night. But I'm going to ask a couple questions, just sort of miscellaneous here. We obviously know John Cena is the host of WrestleMania 42. He's coming back, first time since retirement, both nights. Do we get some sort of interruption from somebody? Is there going to be a segment? No, I don't think because we have Gunther versus Seth, we get an interaction with Gunther. I don't see it. But maybe is there like some sort of heel that comes out and maybe it's like a Kit Wilson or somebody comes out, tries to get in the face of Cena? Like, do you think we get anything?
Go ahead.
I don't know. Yeah, sorry, Mike. I honestly, this might be one of the most unpredictable WrestleManias in a long time. That's just where because I honestly couldn't tell you. In years prior, you could usually put the pieces together, solve the puzzle, but I have no idea where they're going to go here.
I think this is a great opportunity to do one last hurrah for a while between Cena and Truth. You could do something. You could do something.
There you go.
You could do something with those two. Like maybe Cena doesn't come out in the jorts, and then Truth comes out in full blown Cena gear and is like, "What the heck, bro? Like you're supposed to be my childhood hero. You're not dressed in the right clothes." And then Miz and Kit Wilson come out, and they're upset because they don't have a match in WrestleMania, and because the Miz faced John Cena at WrestleMania. This is an injustice. And then who do we have come out at the end to make all chaos break loose and to put Cena back in the jorts for one more AA on the Miz and Kit Wilson? We have Danhausen come out in this segment, and when Miz curses those two one more time, the lights go out. And when the lights come back on, Cena's in the jorts, and Cena lays everybody out.
Oh my God!
And then
or are we gonna get Dan Cena? Are we gonna get Cenahausen here? Could that be? Could that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do like Cena with the face paint with the jorts on. I don't know. To me, that seems like a really fun segment.
Mike, and Jalen knows this. I was very critical of the reveal of the crate at Elimination Chamber because you know this. I'm
Oh,
not much
yes,
of an
you were.
AEW watcher. I did not know who Danhausen was. And my take was you can't have a guy that no one knows come out of a crate. But I got to give Danhausen credit. He's gotten himself so over. I think he may be the most overact on television right now outside of Roman, Punk, and Brock and Oba.
Well, and it's incredible because I went to SmackDown on Friday, and all they did was it was when the cameras weren't rolling. It was hilarious. It was during an ad break. Basically, they just had Danhausen come out, and they did all these camera cuts to all these children. There's so many children with Danhausen shirts on. It was like a sporting event. Danhausen comes out with the shirt launcher, and he's just firing them into the crowd. How genius is it that they have a performer that is never going to work a typical match, but is going to draw so much with the little kids? I think they've really put a lot of Danhausen's own creativity into it with the whole curse thing, and I think it's really paying dividends. I think you could pair him and Cena up. I think people would have a nice, lovable moment. Maybe R-Truth even comes out and says, "Hey, John, guess what? You're going to be the headliner of the Hall of Fame next year." And and you do this really fun, lighthearted segment.
I mean, does that because it's gonna, I wonder. You're on ESPN. They announced Cena for both nights. I wonder, is that like the first thing you see on ESPN2 when we kick off WrestleMania Saturday? Is the Cena segment?
It very well could be because if you paid attention, he's advertised for Saturday and Sunday.
Yes. And so that's why I wonder, like, what are they going to do? I wonder, this is what I wonder. Saturday, you do that segment, right? Sunday, Brock Lesnar comes out and says, "I'm going to beat you just like I did at WrestlePalooza." And out comes Oba. And that's how you start bragging Oba.
Okay. I like that. I don't hate that, actually. I like that a lot. Because you get both sides. Cena, you get like night one, you get like joking, haha, Cena, and then you kind of get the serious world champ Cena. I like that.
I actually love that a lot, Brandon, because you're involving Obafemi with John Cena.
Yeah.
And again, if you're gonna do Brock and Oba in a 3-minute match, what if Cena's out there, right? And Oba just beats Brock real quick, and he gets Cena doing his classic like facial expression, and then he raises Obafemi's hand.
There we go. See, you could do a lot with Cena here, and I'm excited to see what direction they go.
I will say I agree with both of you guys because Cena has said it on numerous occasions. He will never wear jorts again after he retires. I think he comes out in a full suit and a full tie.
Well, Saturday until Truth and Danhausen come out and the lights go out, and then we're back in jorts again.
All right, guys. This was a lot of fun over the last couple of days to preview both WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday with you guys. Iron Mike, Michael Reiner, Jalen, Sandvick. You guys are amazing. This was a lot of fun. Well, let's have a great weekend, guys. The NBA playoffs are here. The NHL playoffs are here. WrestleMania is here. The NFL draft is next week. There has never been a busier time for me, at least, when it comes to this podcast, I would argue, than the next 10 days.
Yeah.
We love it.
It's going to be interesting. We love sports. I'm sorry for all you non-Pittsburgh people out there on Brandon's feed. You're all Cleveland people out there.
I will say, I don't know how you guys feel, just to wrap it up. I do wish, I understand why they moved WrestleMania back because of the Final Four. That first week in April or that last weekend in March always felt perfect. WrestleMania now does feel like it's late in the year. And I do feel like there's so much time between Elimination Chamber and WrestleMania. That's when they've screwed up most of these storylines. Because they have so much time in there, and there is such thing as like there's too much TV to fill before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I get that for sure.
I agree, but at the same time, it's WrestleMania season. There's nothing better than WrestleMania. I'm getting to watch another one with my family, with my brother, and you know what? That's the best. It's the best weekend of my year, and I'm looking forward to every bit about it. And we're going to see what happens from there. Hopefully, this WrestleMania exceeds a lot of people's expectations. I recommend that people don't necessarily rush to their keyboards, and hopefully this brings a smile to everybody who's watching.
That's what I think. It sort of reminds me of like WrestleMania 35, which I watched with you, Mike. Remember going in, there was a lot of hate about that Mania, and there was a lot of talk about Becky, Ronda, and Flair main eventing, and will it deliver? And there was a lot of matches on that card outside of Kofi and Daniel Bryan that people didn't like, and it turned out to be one of the better WrestleManias. And I actually think if it was a 2-night WrestleMania, would have been received a lot better, because I think the only thing wrong about that WrestleMania is it was a 5.5-hour show.
Yeah, it was
7 hours. Yeah,
it was so long.
I think I tell you guys real quick. I want to do a retrospect, or like I go back in time with the last like 10 years prior to when WrestleMania was one night, and do like a what if this WrestleMania was 2 nights? How would you break down the card?
You still can't say WrestleMania 27. Sorry, can't do it.
No, can't do that.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a lot of fun. Enjoy WrestleMania this weekend. This has been Britain's World. We've spent the last 2 days previewing WrestleMania, so there's only one thing left to do, and that's watch it. Again, enjoy everything that's going on this weekend. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jalen, for joining us. We'll be back next week to break it all down. And peace.
Perfect, boys.
Like that clip from the Britain's World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Britain's World podcast right here on YouTube.